time.
So say we all.
So say we all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DragonCon 35, Mr. James Callis. Here you are.
Hi, everybody.
Give it up for Mr. Tamo Pickett.
Series. Really good.
Oh, okay.
Jamie Bamber. The Admiral himself, Edward James. Only 16 more names left. Mr. Michael Trucco! You can rearrange it however you want to. I'll move chairs. We're going to make it intimate. The lovely Reka Sharma. You can go wherever you want to. You're the boss. And my twin sister, Miss Trisha Helper. We're making ground right here. Is this yours? It's been a couple of years. We forgot how to set the table. Sorry, guys.
I'm always first, okay?
Yes. Yes, sir.
They can't make up their mind where they want to sit.
Weirdest group I've ever worked with.
Oh, and there we go. I'm playing musical chairs.
I think there's a parable in the Bible about this.
I swear, they were walking around with some... Hi, everybody.
Perfect. If they don't know who you are by now, then the art show is downstairs.
Kids, you can't take them anywhere.
Exactly. Hey, I have a question for the panelists. Who thinks they've been to DragonCon the most times?
Aaron Douglas. Who's been here the most? You, Eddie?
No, Aaron.
Aaron.
I think Aaron. I'm not sure.
Possibly.
How ironic. You know the answer?
Possibly Aaron, but I don't know. It might be you, James.
Ready?
What was your first year here? 05?
Genuinely, I can't remember.
Douglas and Callis and I were here for the first
Hey, James.
Hey, Eddie.
How's the weather down there?
It's really nice up here. I think it's a bit nicer up here than down there. Sorry. I know when my first year was, if that's helpful, because...
It is. I know, because all of you visited us, but I didn't know who had the longevity, who could brag.
07, because someone just reminded me, because they had an autograph from 07, so I know I was here.
Aww.
Nice. Well, everyone, welcome back to DragCon. Obviously, your best, most favorite convention.
Yes.
Excellent. So I know that we have a couple of people in the audience that are our mic assistants. Can I have you raise your hands? Hi, lovely lady. What's your name? Sharon? I'll just make up a name if I can't hear you.
Sherry.
Sharon. Oh, that's a much better name than Aaron.
Sherry.
Cherie? Cherie. Oh, Celine. Type in. All right, who is my other? Is it just you? Lucky winner to start us off? Everyone's always shy at the first part of the hour. About the end of the hour, they're mad that they don't get their question answered. But the first 5 minutes are like, I will go first. Hey, yes ma'am, you in the blue mask. What's your question? I'll repeat it. Good.
Obviously, a lot of your teams involve a lot of military jargon and a lot of military mannerisms. And by the way, you guys did like the BFC initiative, so that's something I actually got me through my first and second combat tours. Wow. And my first one too. So that's what we do.
Thank you for your service, young lady. Her love of Battlestar Galactica got her through her first and second tours. Thank you so much for your service. Because I'm old and slow, the first part of your question was there's a lot of military jargon and lingo. Oh. Y'all don't even need me.
Gracias. So, like I said, there's a lot of military jargon and mannerisms that are involved in all of your scenes. How do you guys prepare for that? Do you guys have a military consultant in the group, and how did you study for that? Because a lot of it was really realistic.
Yes.
Incorrect. The guy waving his hand had nothing to do with the training. Guess again.
I'm going to assume you're one of
Yes.
I'm going to also assume that
Yeah.
was one of them.
Tamo, over to you. What happened?
Yeah, we did a military boot camp with an individual named Ron Blecker, yes? Yeah,
Right.
Ron was I think he's a U.S. Ranger, and he ran us through a few-day boot camp with Katie and
Candace,
yeah,
Aaron,
Candace was there, AJ, Grace,
Grace.
and it was fun, and he gave us a real sense of, in 2 days, as much as you could, but it was no joke. It was
for real, yeah.
quite intense, and
Do you want to ask James Callis what he was doing while we were in boot camp?
James was recovering from the weekend with me.
No. And then you have to ask Trisha what she was doing in boot camp.
We were invited for dinner by the producers. well, these guys apparently are in mud and whatever doing the training.
We were being wined and dined.
We got taken out for a lovely dinner.
I never heard that.
I actually didn't know that. I thought they were just making out on set. But boot camp of sorts. They had sex camp.
Your question is, the question is in the sense of the military thing, and I'm sure you know, but Ron was, I think it's fair to say, Ron was in the Navy, and the Battlestar is loads of his experiences from being on a ship. All of that stuff that's where it's informed. That's why it feels so real as well, because of Ron writing the thing and having been in the Navy and knowing so much about the protocol and what it's like on a ship. I think he then transferred that to the Battlestar.
Mm-hmm.
Marcelli. Next question.
Hi all. My question is, given the physical acting component of Battlestar, was there a scene that was either just more fun or more challenging because of the physical aspect of it?
I think we can all agree that the boxing episode was a blast. That was a lot of fun. Jamie and I had fun, Eddie had fun. Starbuck, there was a bunch of us who got to do that. Physically, that was one of my favorites.
I think for me, Starbuck and Six's fight over the Air of Apollo was pretty fun to do.
That was a good one. That was a good scene.
We were pretty bruised up afterwards. It took an entire day, I think, day and a half to film that. That was a lot of fun.
And then you became besties.
And then we became besties by beating each other up, yeah.
I think, are you familiar with the game of Pyramid?
Yeah.
Do you guys know how to play it?
No.
Neither do I. Nor Katie, nor anybody on that show ever. So every time we, had to set up a pyramid, and it was usually just a passing shot, Reimer, whoever was directing, was like, great, just, get together and shoot around, and we'll just, we'll move the camera. And we're like, shoot her at what? There was no game, there was no rules. If you're shooting a basketball scene, you give four people a basketball and a hoop, they can make a game out of it, or throw a football around. But this little thing with a garbage can stuck to a piece of plywood, it had no rules. So Katie and I made up most of that stuff just to make it look sexy.
And did.
How about when you took that hit from Tommy Europe?
Oh, buddy.
Over and over. Tommy Europe was one of the background actors, and Tommy's he's a really accomplished stunt performer in Vancouver, and he's a beast. He's an ex-professional football player. He played in the CFL. And there's a take where you see Truco getting hit. It's great.
We shot that scene on a Thursday. He knocked me into Saturday. If you see it, that's a real hit.
It's a real hit if you see the scene.
And I got up, I go, we got it. That was good. We're good. One take.
I've freeze framed it a couple times, the pause right after Truco gets hit. He was looking very confident. This is look of shock. His ribs fold.
It's the kind of, if you watch it in slow-mo, it's the kind of hit that is so hard my head was still in the same place, but my head physically start and go back. It's really quite incredible. Never again.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Thank you all for coming back. It's nice to see you here. I have a question for Reka and for Michael. When your characters were first introduced, you were just ordinary humans. I'm curious, at what point did you learn you'd turn out to be Cylons, and how was that revealed?
Spoiler.
They haven't seen it by now, by the way.
Yeah,
Since you're the newbie.
people haven't.
Spoiler.
Buddy, you knew what you were walking into. Cover your ears. So I first found out Eddie was teasing me in the hair and makeup trailer one day. Have you read it? I go, oh, just you wait. Pull up your socks, girl. Pull up your socks. Go to the office. Get a copy. Go home and read it. And then I went home and read it and screamed like a little girl. But none of us knew. None of us knew for sure what it meant. They wouldn't give away anything until the scene that we shot of us meeting in the gym and actually discovering it. They told us on the way over to shoot that scene. What did they say to you?
I learned everything from Aaron Douglas. I said it before, that's how I found out. But we went to shoot
I hope not everything.
Everything I ever did was informed by Aaron Douglas. No, it was, we didn't know what we were doing when we said, well, I just know that previous to that scene, you and I had a makeout scene.
Yes.
When we started hearing the music.
It was very hot.
And I only read that far, and then the rest of the stuff. And what scene's coming up next doesn't matter. No, just like Reagan said, we didn't know until the very last second. That was part of the fun of the show, is the secrecy and the confusion that we shot that scene where we all revealed, and Hogan walks in, Aaron walks in, and you walk in, and I walk in. We're like, oh fuck. It's really that confusion that you see in that scene, and that was happened on the day because I think we had just gotten those pages and we just realized. I mean, we had rumors and we knew that where this story was going, but we hadn't seen it officially until it was on page and we shot that scene.
Yeah.
Great scene, but it was fun.
Thanks. And the camera work on that scene was monumental. We all clapped at the end of that day. Yeah. It was fun. It was like a dance, a ballet dance, you know, when you get the handy cam? Wow. Steady cam. I'll just...
His name was Andy.
Somebody else.
Andy Cam. There's also Steve Cam. He's a little more stationary. Oh, Timmy Cam, yeah. Oh, Timmy Cam. Oh, Timmy was always on the... Yeah.
Tim on the steady cam. But it was actually Ryan that day.
And Ryan.
It was Ryan.
I texted Aaron Douglas to see if he would like to join in on the call because he likes to crash panels and stuff. I can't tell you, because we're on DCTV, what his words and replies were. Because I took a picture of everyone and said, hey, I'm moderating, do you want to call in? And he's like, don't say anything, I'm supposed to be working.
Oops.
Oops. I'm not an actor, I'm not going to get in trouble. No, I'm kidding. He said that if he can try to call, so, you know, if all of a sudden my phone rings and I'm like, hey, sorry, So I was trying to get all of the reunion, all the gang back together as much as possible. Woo! Yeah, right? Woo! It's been a rough 2 years, guys. I'm just winging it as we go. Who has a question in the front? Do we have anyone that can't get back to Cherie? I don't want to leave anyone behind. Sir, loud and proud. Oh, okay.
Who's got the microphone?
Is there another microphone over here in the front? There's only one? Well, I can repeat it. You don't have to, Cherie, you stay back. Okay. Do whatever you want to do. I've lost all control and it's okay.
First off, I talked with you, Tricia, yesterday, and I'd like to repeat for everybody because, man, it got me through the past 2 years. Your podcast.
Tricia's podcast.
Tricia's podcast.
Well, thank you for listening. I think everybody up here has been on it a few times. So a couple of years ago, Mark Bernardin, who's a writer, journalist, he actually covered the show for Entertainment Weekly. He was a fan of the show and was the journalist for Entertainment Weekly during the run. We started a podcast rewatch called Battlestar Galactica. And for those of you Lucifer fans, it was Tom Ellis that came up with the name, because I was in the hair and makeup trailer and I told Tom that I was going to do this podcast. And I said, I got to think up a name. And he goes, Battlestar Galactica. And that's the name. So we just did an episode by episode rewatch, and some of the episodes were sillier than others due to her. But some episodes were, It was a double header that we started out with Tomo guesting on Zoom, like on FaceTime, and then Reika showed up and we did another one. But Eddie was on many times, not only for talking as the Admiral, but also the episodes you directed. We did a table read of episode 33, which I think all of you.
Mm-hmm. That was good. So good.
Was I working?
And so that was fun. We got everybody around my table and read it. So if you're interested in a rewatch, it's a nice thing to listen to along the way, and you get some behind-the-scenes insight. And Ron Moore was on, David Icke, some of the other directors. Bear McCreary had a wonderful episode. Check it out.
My question is, Michael Hogan. Are any of you in contact with him, and how's his recovery going?
Yeah, we're all in contact with him, and we've been helping him. And those of you who don't know, he had a stroke, and it was a very, very difficult time for him. But he's still in the hospital, and it's been over a year. And yesterday, and we'll do it again today, we'll shout out to him before we all leave.
Nice.
And but it's been very, very difficult for everyone. And we're hoping we can get him here next year.
Woo! And for those who may not know, you can always look up Fleetwood's family. They are doing a lot of things for Michael Hogan.
Through this period of time, it's really, really difficult for them. There was a shot man who just took everybody by surprise, and it hit him hard. He was hit very hard, and but he'll come back. He's the XO. He knows what he's got to do. I don't give him a break, so I laugh at him. Why? Because he's always laughing at me anyway, so it's all good. Thank you for asking.
James, who do you have?
So Battlestar Battlestar was always a pretty grim watch. What are some jokes or pranks that were pulled to kind of lighten up things behind the scenes? Don't remember.
Aaron?
I wore a fat suit for a bit.
That was the best part. He looked so good.
He really looked so good. The first scene we had together, I was crying. The tears wouldn't stop coming out because they did really good. And he was just always eating candy. It's so entertaining. Oh my God, that made me happy.
We had one scene when Baltar was on the Cylon base ship and Deanna walks in. Deanna and I walk in, and Baltar's supposed to be naked, and James was naked. And Lucy Lawless didn't know, and she walked in, and she starts the scene, and she's being Deanna, and she walks in. She's like, she comes back around the corner, she's like, I was not expecting that.
Nobody expects that.
Neither was I, really. It was actually funny enough that when you're talking about things being really grim and desperate, that was something that they tried to do to address that by making a scene that was with me in it that was going to be kind of amusing. Apparently it was just too funny. It was just genuinely, that's what they said. It was like, we took the show somewhere else. But the idea was that I'd been abducted by the Cylons and, you know, didn't have any clothes on. And then a very Baltar thing in the sense of, the whole thing was like standing like this, being very embarrassed. And then at a point to, you go, hey guys, come on. And, yeah, that's, hopefully that's been burnt.
Me too.
Hey, it was no big thing, all right?
I heard it was a fat suit.
I'm so fired as a moderator. What's our next question?
Welcome back in Team DragonCon. Just a quick question for the whole panel. Is there anything remaining on your DragonCon bucket list?
Remaining on the DragonCon bucket list.
Your DragonCon bucket list. I can add some memories for some of you.
I was hoping to drink a lot of expensive red wine tonight. Maybe some Italian food, and then end the evening with paper cup goblets of whiskey.
Although you can check, look at the script and try that. You can check that off. That's for you.
Well, there's your answer. Like they've managed to accomplish all of their needs.
What is just to elaborate, what are we missing? What's the DragonCon bucket list? What are the things that need to be done?
The rum bucket that's sold in this hotel, probably, for one, right? The famous DragonCon rum bucket.
Rum bucket?
Rum, are you in?
Oh.
That's a different red color. It sounds very sweet. I've had one, and it's
Take it back to the room and fix it right.
Not that I'm afraid of sugar, clearly, but it was a very sweet drink. I don't know, bucket list. Have you guys made it to the vendor halls before or seen aspects of the show aside from your obligations doing panels and Walk of Fame? Yeah?
Yeah, I remember the first year, Douglas and Callis and I, we walked all over the place. Again, it was our first big con, so we were just really taken with the whole thing. It was nuts. We were walking all over the place. It was a true experience.
We bought lots of stuff, didn't we?
I think
we
had
all of the I didn't know what the convention was.
Yeah.
I thought it would just like turn up, do a panel like this. I didn't realize about everything else that was going, all of the artwork, all of the different ideas, all of the things. It was just blew me away. In fact, actually, it's one of the things I keep on wanting to bring my kids to DragonCon.
Aww.
It's such a actually, now I want a little back and say, we've just been chatting about how amazing it is to be here now, after COVID, but also actually with all of you, the respect you have for each other, the way that we feel. There's 30,000 people here, and the atmosphere is just amazing. It's not threatening, it's good vibes. Yeah. It's rather wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, that was very nice. It was sad. Yeah. Because it was a lot of hard work to pull off the show, and so we're glad that everybody's healthy and safe. That's our goal. Our next question.
Trisha, my question is for you. Yesterday at the panel, you mentioned that the resurrection scene was the first time you kind of put your foot down as an actor and really stood up for yourself. So I've been dying to know, like, what was the director's original vision, and like, why weren't you happy with it?
Oh, question.
I actually can't remember. I'm terrible with names. I can't remember. It was a director. We ended up having directors that cycled through, like basically 5 or 6 of the same directors, because it became very hard for a new director, unless they were a massive fan of the show, to come in and be in the world, you know, and know everything that's going on. And this was a first time for him, and I guess it was 3/4 of the way through the second season, but he saw the downloading and to be a very zen, tranquil environment, and he had us all in tans and creams. And there was one of me on the outside first, so they wanted me to do the outside, one of the 6s looking in first before Caprica 6, and it was Caprica 6, the first one that we saw was after she'd been the explosion in the underground parking lot, and my leg was broken, and Deanna goes, "Oh, I'll just kill you, you'll resurrect," and I didn't want to. And to me, that meant, if it was just like a serene, peaceful, wonderful experience, like, yeah, get me out of my pain of my leg and let me, download. And so I thought there needed to be something more aggressive about it, more like a real birth. A real birth is not a pretty thing. It's a beautiful experience, but it's not a pretty thing. It's painful and quite aggressive. And so I wanted to come out with the last feeling that you would have. So like when Caprica 6 protects Baltar, she got the shards of glass, so that when she would come out, she would be like, ugh! Like that, because that's the last thing she remembers, and then she comes to and she sees, and she's in a new body. So for that, I just really said, no, I think it should be this way, and I insisted during blocking, when you rehearse things, to get in the tub, because they had a photo double in the tub, and he wanted her to just lay there peacefully, like she was sleeping. And I got in the tub, and I showed the other actors what I was going to do, and be a little bit more, I don't know what the word is, but, and that's how we ended up shooting it, and I think I made the right choice, but...
You did.
I mean, literally said in the script, I don't want to do it, so it's like, well, if it was easy, then sign me up.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I have a question for James. So, Gaius Baltar.
In the middle.
So I have a question about Gaius Baltar and how you portrayed him as a character, because at first I wasn't really that much interested, or I was new to the show, so I wasn't really that much interested in the characters yet, but then as the show kept progressing, he would continuously make, I guess, not the best decisions.
You think?
Worse, not the best, like a very big understatement. He continuously makes bad decisions, and at the same time, you'd still want to root for him as a character, even though he'd keep doing the wrong thing, or he keeps doing the wrong thing. And so I have a question about, I don't know if this is like a combination of writing or just like really good acting skill, but I want to know your thoughts on that and how.
Honestly, I'd say 90% is the writing. It's all there for you. Also, you're supported by all the other actors. When you're doing something, you're not acting in isolation. You're acting with people. So it's everybody is involved in that thing. making bad decisions. This is one of the things about him, essentially, is that he had a conscience. I was saying this to somebody today. It was like drilling for oil to find his conscience, but he did have one. And that made him a bit more human. And there was a decision I had made early on where I'm with people like Tamo and Jamie, and they wanted to cut my hair originally. I was like, just push through, like, you're going to boot camp, and I was like, no, I want to go out for dinner with Trisha. and so essentially, I'm not on the Battlestar, and I didn't know the Battlestar, and so that was part of the thing about looking a bit hapless. And I also hadn't seen that before. Like everybody. There's all these heroes walking around, they know what to do, they're direct, they're definite, they look you in the eye, their word is their bond, and there's some guy who shouldn't be there. I'm the right, but I'm so sorry. That was, to make him, otherwise he'd have been a total monster. I mean, in the sense of, well, is that apart from Thanos, is there anybody who killed more people? In the sense of, not really. But that's a lot of stuff on somebody's mind, right?
Yes, this is a question for the entire cast and a little bit here and there. So, no, as the story has got such a great history going back to the 70s and all these books and all these pieces. Trying to put together your interactions on set and all of your interactions together, how much of the historical place did you pull from in order to be able to build your own understanding of your characters?
Jamie, you're first.
No, I think Eddie should be first because he wasn't listening.
That's why I did that.
He's the intellect.
The historical context of the show is some of us were born in the 70s. Some of us lived through the 70s. And some of us never knew the 70s. I think, Reika, you're the youngest person on this panel. I shouldn't ask a lady.
Oh, no.
The honest truth is, for me, I grew up watching Battlestar, so it was like a subliminal infancy image of TV. And my first ever time I came to the United States, I was in Paris as a kid, and we traveled with my dad, who's American, as am I. But we went to Connecticut to a place called Old Lyme for the summer. It was obscenely hot. I remember my dad leaving us in a car outside his office in New York for an hour in August, and we were like the panting dog that dies in the TV commercials. That was my subliminal image of America. It's like Coke is the solution. Ask James Callis. Long story short, the TV was one of those proper TVs with a tuner that you had to tune in. And the first image I ever saw on television in America, I've never told this before actually, was Battlestar Galactica.
Oh!
And so that's the image it has for me. It's not a conscious one, it's like a subliminal thing. And when I first turned over the first page of the script, it was like sort of reverting to some childhood state, and yet I couldn't recognize in this story what the image was for me. I was looking for a guy called Apollo, and there wasn't one in the script. It was Lee and Kara, and so gradually this sort of mature image came into focus of a different story, and obviously that's Ron's genius, is that he wore it with pride but lightly, and so the two have come into focus over the years, and obviously Richard Hatcher, God rest his soul, emblemizes that completely. And the day that he walked onto our show was kind of, for me, traumatic in that way, where you get all of this coming into perspective in a sort of scary way. And then you meet Richard and you allay your fears like you do in therapy. And I'm told. So yeah, he represents exactly what your question is about. Richard Hatch, an amazing human being who killed the world with warmth and kindness and enthusiasm, and he loved this event more than any other.
He did.
And we are his children.
Every year, you can always count on him to be here. Every year. Was he here all 35, like until he passed? Was he here every year? One of our very first guests ever? Does anybody have that memory? Like, you could always count on, like, I've been here 21 years, and until he passed, I had never not known him to be missing from Dragon Con. Always playing pool upstairs in guest hospitality for the media party, welcoming everyone. So yeah, we miss him terribly. He is part of our family for sure. Oh boy, I love doing these comedic panels. They're the best. Next question.
Battlestar had a lot of really memorable characters. I wanted to ask the entire cast, who was your favorite Battlestar Galactica character and why was it Crashdown?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mr. Sam Whitworth, come on out here, buddy.
I am so glad he came and crashed this panel.
Those of you who didn't see the panel yesterday, Sam and I sat together.
Answer the question!
And I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. And I'm like, you have to come do a panel with us, buddy.
Oh.
You got one? Down here.
there's a chair over here for you, Sam. Crashdown was my favorite character.
See, we got this. Hey, Sam.
Hi.
Ooh, we met once upon a time.
On Once Upon a Time?
The Walking Dead.
What?
The pilot.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I was working with extras casting for the zombies outside of your tank scene.
Here in Atlanta.
Yeah. Welcome back to Dragon Con.
Yeah.
We've never met in person other than on a film set, so I just want to say, hey, welcome.
What's happening?
What a nice surprise.
I just want to say, I started the show as a fan. I saw the miniseries, and I called my agent. I said, you have to get me on Battlestar Galactica. And she goes, you know that was canceled like 20 years ago, right? Let me explain. They did this remake. It is brilliant. I want to do a guest star in Battlestar Galactica. And I had no resume to speak of. None. There was no reason to believe this was going to work. And then it worked. So I got to arrive on this set with all of these brilliant people as a fan, right? So everyone's being all nice to me. Oh, great, yeah, you're a colleague. I'm like, yeah, I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan. And Aaron Douglas is taking me out, and I'm like, I'm out with the chief, but I shouldn't call him that because he'll think that's not cool. So basically, this whole thing, you know, like even watching the panel, I'm still a fan, and I'm in awe of these people around me. So I'm just so pleased to be here. It's really cool.
Any other guests in the audience that... I think we're down to like 2 broken rolling chairs in the back, and I can project really loudly. Cool. What's your next question?
Hi there. It sounds like you guys had a pretty good idea from the scripts ahead of time where the story was going to go and where your characters were going to go. And what I wanted to know is there anything you guys wanted to bring to your characters' personalities or your story arcs that you didn't get a chance to fit into the show?
Everybody's looking
I mean, not getting killed, Rubens.
Did I want to bring anything?
Did you suggest that to Ron and David?
What? Did I suggest?
I don't know if that's a good idea. Maybe you should.
No, they come over and tell me, if I'm lucky, what's happening next, and I go, thank you for giving me a job. Sure, whatever you want, sir.
And the only thing I wanted to be a Cylon, but, you know. They said, no way. And I gotta tell you, when Michael Hogan found out that he was a Cylon, he got up out of the reading and said, bullshit. I hate this, you guys are off your ass, I'm out of here. And he left. After reading, he says, I'm Cylon, what's wrong with you? It was really a wonderful moment. And he brought it to the stage. He brought it to the character. He brought it to character. He was so angry. It took him a while, and it was great for the character because it really worked. You know, he was just, when he was in the first time they all get together for him, he was just so angry at all of them, you know, and himself. Just go, I don't care, I'm a guy. It was just a crazy moment.
Yeah, but
he was angry.
You remember in the trial when he'd been told then that he was a Cylon by that stage, and he's like disintegrating in the trial because he's on stand. He had that wonderful thing about he could start to hear the music, and he's like, I think it was in the trial. He's like, he's giving testimony against me, and he's like, it's in the fracking ship. He may not be the most reliable witness. He brought it all.
That was his wife, who's the
the judge.
The admiral, or what was her name?
Susan.
She was an admiral, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was there. She was the head chief of justice system in the ship. So. Anyway, all I can tell you is I adored what they did with all of us, to be honest with you. And they were so secretive, even though we did find out through the chief, you know, as to who was what. But I don't know if they got down. Did it only got to you, or did he tell everybody?
He eventually told everybody. That was one of the questions.
Not me.
He didn't tell you?
No.
Well, not everybody's lucky.
Married for 10,000 years, but you know, don't tell her. Classic.
I wanted to build on another part of that question. Was there ever a misdirection where any of you kind of given the hint that you might be a Cylon or another character on the show that was like a MacGuffin to throw people off the scent of the reveal?
I wore a fat suit. That was a McMuffin. McMuffin, not McMuffin. Up there before you.
He originally thought he was going to be wearing a bat suit. No, damn it, it's a fat suit.
I brought my own costume.
You're at the right place for that. Next question?
Okay, so as a fictional universe, Battlestar Galactica obviously has a lot of lingo and terms that aren't, interchangeable with ours. Did it ever take you guys like a considerable amount of effort to get into the tendency of saying frack instead of other words?
It was easy. Yeah. It was real easy, man. That word became like monumental. Frack you. Everybody's walking around saying.
The weird moment was when I was driving in LA and I heard about the problem with fracking all across America. And how it was making people's water burn. Like on fire in Flint, Michigan and elsewhere. That was the moment that was weird. Fracking. Shit, I'm doing it wrong.
I tried to sneak it in. I never, ever got to say it. It was never written for me. And I improv'd it a couple of times and it was never used. Unless I'm wrong and somebody can prove me wrong, I did purposely try to put it in because I want to say frack. Nope.
I wanted to use the original Feldergarb. Remember that from the 70s?
Yes.
I think that Feldergarb meant rubbish. And I tried to put it in a few scenes and like, no. Don't do that, go home, cut your hair.
A question for James. One of my favorite small scenes where I think you gain a lot of sympathy for Baltar is the scene where he's in the jail cell talking about his airline accent.
Oh, right, yeah.
Did you go through like several permutations of that, or were you automatically yes, you're...
No, it was, they wanted a different accent. You know that there's all these things you've been asking about, like, hey, what would you like to have done, or was there anything else that you would have liked to have done in the show? Like 10 years on, obviously the most amazing thing I think I've been a part of and done, but there were several storylines I'm like, I could have done without that one, actually. I mean, it's like, I'm a scientist, I'm a cult leader, I kept on checking, I was the president, I couldn't keep up with myself. I look in the mirror, is it Thursday? Yeah, I'm the president today. Okay. So then it came to the thing and they were like, look, we want to kind of, you speak in a certain way, and we want to say that you've come from more humble beginnings. So then, you know, like, it didn't feel right to use an American accent. Like, that would be too much of a gear shift, although several were kind of mooted. And I was at university in Yorkshire, up in York. So that's kind of how they talk up there. First little thing, first time I ever went to a pub up in university in York, I asked for the lunch at the pub, and the lady said, what would you like, beef au parme? I said, is that French? Isn't it pastry? The lady looked at me and she went, it's beef au parme. I went, I'll have it. Well, you can't, you've got to have beef. And the guy next to me went, beef or pork, buddy, beef or pork. Like, there's a really different accent. So I actually did it. At the time, Erin and I, we weren't sure what that scene was going to be, or how much, how meaningful it was going to be, or how poignant it was going to be. And in fact, actually, even doing the accent, Ron was like, you need to do it again. We're going to dub this. I want more. I want more. And it was, I believe that scene was really dubbed. Even though I'd done it in Yorkshire on the day, it was like, there's more things to bring to this, to the story, and so that is the story. That's what we did.
We've got time for about one more question, then I'm going to go down the road to find out what everyone, the rest of their weekend's plans are, where all of our fans can find you. So our last question to wrap us up.
Well, this question is for those of you who portrayed pilots on the show. Because one of the things that always impresses me when I rewatch the series is how well done and exciting like the dogfighting scenes are. So I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about what the process was like for filming those scenes. Like, was there any special preparation or like difficult practical effects or anything you had to deal with?
Well, okay, so as the big Battlestar Galactica fan, right, I would be sitting there trying to remember my jargon, you know? But you're in a helmet, and in the helmet you hear people talking to you in the helmet, you're in the spacesuit, and you're in the spaceship, whether it's a Viper or a Raptor. It was built outside and in. The interior was real, the exterior was real. And I'm sitting here trying to remember my lines, you know, that there are, you know, I'm like, oh, hey, Boomer, and then the screen lights up, and there's 3 Cylons, Karam 371. I'm like, 3 Cylons, Karam 371. Oh my God, man, it's real. It's all real. That happened more than once, where I was just like, there is nothing here that tells me that I'm not actually here. That's what it was really like that.
So that is absolutely spot on. I don't have a pat answer to this, but that's the answer. The truth is, it was a lot like going into space, because you walked up a ladder to get into a Viper. The Viper's quite high. Raptors, you actually get in on your own, but there's a ladder, and then the ladder's taken away, and then everyone walks away, and they all go to craft services, and you're like, hey, I'm hungry. At that point, they've switched off the intercom, because they're only interested in you as a performing monkey, not as a hungry monkey, or a thirsty monkey, or a monkey that needs to pee. So you literally have to call Houston with a problem. And it was called Houston. It was. It was. Houston, yeah. So you were in there for hours sometimes, and it was very hot, very lonely, and Sam's absolutely bang on. It was all plausible. The lights went down. You had a green screen, but it was basically black. The only thing that you had to, maybe more in a Viper than a Raptor, you had to sort of 360-degree the dogfight. So Gary Hutzel, another dearly departed member of our team who headed the VFX department of the show, would have these amazing pre-visualizations that you would watch as a computer, like a sketch computer program of what the sequence was like. So you'd be literally like a downhill ski racer before the race who is preparing to go on the course, and they take every turn. The race is 2 minutes long, and they'll take every turn just standing still, just understanding what it is, and you'd have to do that because you realize that suddenly you'd be on your back, and then Starbuck would appear on your wing, and then there'd be someone coming in from over here, and then you'd have to do a maneuver where you're literally upside down, and something comes from underneath, and all of that you had to supply in your imagination because obviously the thing wasn't moving. So that was the challenge of it, was to use your imagination and your sort of physical sense memory to sort of establish what this fight was and try and make it real. Otherwise, Raptor pilots had it easy, Sam.
Yep.
So from here, fans, if you didn't get your question answered, I imagine you can see all of our guests on the Walk of Fame immediately following this panel. Is that true? It's open for another couple of hours. Do you have another panel tomorrow?
Yes.
I think we do.
All right, cool. So another panel tomorrow. You can check it out in the app. My name is Tony Gowell, and on behalf of the cast of Battlestar Galactica and our fans here for our 35th anniversary, thank you for being here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe. Be healthy.
Before everyone goes,
a tribute. I'm so sorry.
Just wait.
Before we all split apart here.
Yes, sir.
We wanted to say hi, Michael. And we're going to do it in style.
Yes.
Testing 1, 2.
Yep.
Okay. XO, we're all here, waiting for you. We're going to do this again next year. You're going to be with us, all right? So say we all. And we all say thank you to you for all the love and friendship that you've got. We love you, Michael. So say we all.
So say we all.
So say we all.
So say we all.
Stand up and give them a cheer.